welcome to the first in our series of forums talking to the candidates for Choctaw County Probate Judge. Today we had with us Mike Williams, Mayor of Butler and candidate for Probate Judge. We're going to talk with the mayor a little bit about some issues of interest to the readers. A lot of the questions that we're going to ask were sent in by readers. Some were combined from readers, other readers' questions into one question. Most of the questions we're going to talk about are related to just a handful of topics. We've talked to the mayor about the topics that are going to be asked. He does not really know all the specific questions, but he knows the topics. And those topics will be economic development, probate duties, the landfill, road and bridges, and some other miscellaneous questions related to the taxes and other issues related to county government. Mayor, you want to talk a little bit to the people about yourself and just give an introduction?
My name is Mike Williams. Some people call me Rudy. I'm a 1980 graduate of Choctaw County High School. I was born in Butler. When I was a kid, we lived in Mount Sterling, and we moved to Butler probably when I was like 5 years old, I think. And we lived in the Green Acres neighborhood, and I went to kindergarten at Miss Minslaw, so they're on the other side of Green Acres from where I lived on Stevens Road. And I went to Butler Elementary, and like I said, then I went to Choctaw County High School. I graduated from there in 1980. So yeah, I'm old. and then I went to the University of Alabama for a year and a half, and then later on I worked construction and other stuff like a lot of young people do. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but eventually I started going to school at the University of West Alabama, which was Livingston at the time. And I worked full-time at Chemical Waste Management, and I put myself through college. So I worked graveyard and 3-11 shift, and I went to school part-time. I tried it full-time, but it didn't work, and I graduated from the University of West Alabama in May of 1993 with a degree in environmental science. And I've been all over the United States, being in the environmental industry, and I've even worked in 2 foreign countries. I worked in Venezuela and I've worked in Mexico. And basically I'm a well-rounded individual, and I think a lot of what I've done in my work experience has qualified me to be mayor, and I think what I've done as mayor and my work in the private sector has qualified me to be probate judge. So I look forward to being your probate judge if you'll be gracious enough to go to the ballot box and vote for me on November 6th.
Okay, Mayor, let's get to some specific questions that readers have asked and some things that are of interest to the folks out there who are going to be choosing who to vote for when it comes to November 6th.
All right.
The first topic that we're going to talk about is something that has been in the forefront of a lot of discussion over the last several months and a couple of years in particular, and that's economic development. We've talked a lot about workforce development, the improvement of industry, the expansion of Georgia Pacific, and the questions that I'm about to ask are related to those subjects.
Okay.
First question is, what do you see as the most important focus for the county when it comes to economic development in particular?
Well, it definitely is workforce development to begin with, because if you don't have a workforce here, a company wants to locate here, then it's going to be the benefit to the people. Where's the benefit to the people? And our population numbers are declining, so people are leaving the county. I've got proof of that, and all you have to do is look online like I did. But when I first took office, one thing I did was Sheldon Day and I met. Sheldon married a girl from Choctaw County, and Sheldon did me a big favor. He came over here and he spoke to and you may have been there, he spoke at the chamber. We were in the chamber room, and he talked about the welding program and all the things he had done. And then I started going to all the meetings at the Choctaw County bus shop. I was the only politician there. Dawn Dixon saw me there, and we talked a lot, and Dawn realized that pretty much that I got it. She said, hey, the mayor understands what's going on. So after that, I went to the town council. Dawn told me that if we would pick up part of the salary for the welding instructor, that it would open the door to all the rest of the grants. So I went to the town council first. They agreed to pay part of the welding instructor's salary. And then I went to Commissioner Cherry and talked with Commissioner Cherry about this. He was on board. He went to the other commissioners, and I went to the commissioners' meeting, I can't recall the exact date, and brought it up, and they approved it that we would split the salary of the welding instructor. And our agreement was for 3 years, and we did it for 3 years. The city of Butler did. And after 3 years, we did not contribute anymore, so, but that was the deal. They thought they could stand on their own after 3 years. But we were there in the beginning on that. And then also, I traveled to Mobile Airport Authority in 2013, excuse me a second, on 9/15/2013, excuse me. Had a friend that knew the people down there, and my thought process was that with the Airbus coming in, I knew we wouldn't get a tier 1 industry here, but I was thinking we'd get a tier 2 or tier 3. So that gentleman was kind enough to give me about an hour and a half to 2 hours of his time. And some of the things we talked about were workforce development and our industrial parks, because I promoted the whole county when I went down there. By the way, I didn't just promote Butler. I went down there, I told him how great our ambulance service was. I told him about our brand new hospital. I told him, there was rail in Pennington. I told him we didn't have 4-lane here. That was probably a shortcoming. There was no interstates right through the county. But anyway, when we finished talking, the guy told me, he said, look, don't worry about the 4-lane and don't worry about the rail not hitting every time. But if you don't have workforce development in the beginning, and this is what I'm going back to with the welding program, you got to start somewhere. Everything's a process. You have to start somewhere. So that's why I focused on workforce development. Now afterwards, the Sanderson facility at the time, we could not market it because there were some issues there. Actually, it ended up in bankruptcy. We got that facility out of bankruptcy, and I believe it was 2016. Excuse me. I don't want to tell you all the wrong date. Sorry about that. Sorry, it was the summer of 2015. And we had everything pretty much completed by September of 2015. So for almost 3 years, we've been marketing that facility and finding we've had interested parties in it. And it's ready to go. I mean, we've got gas up there, we've got water, we've got power, we've got telecommunications. And it's not just me, it's the Industrial Development Board. The town's helped out too. But we have at least had interest in that facility. So we're marketing that facility, and I want to continue to market it. We got to get something else going on here. Our population numbers are showing that we're losing this battle, especially during the economic boom. And even if you go online, you look at our neighboring counties, Sumter, Marengo, Clark, Washington, all of our neighboring counties have larger populations than us. We are below 13,000 people now. We are losing the economic development battle. The county's park, if you ride by there, I mean, it speaks for itself. It's not marketable. When that Tamco facility came up for sale, they should have been trying to purchase that facility and market it. And actually, Councilman Ron Mason, Councilman Terry Morgan, and I went out there and we looked at that facility. And we looked at it, and just to let you know, we looked at it in March of 2016. And we talked with Tamco. We considered buying it and marketing like we did Sanderson. But it just, at the time, it wasn't a good idea as far as financial-wise. We didn't want to put unnecessary burdens on the town. I was hoping the county would step in and do something. But no one did anything. Of course, you know, with the hands it's in now, I don't want to mention those names, but I think that was a missed opportunity for industrial development in this county, economic development.
Okay, in regard to industrial development, economic development, the county has partnered with different organizations, Coastal Gateway. We've been involved in some of those other organizations over the years whose role would be to recruit those kinds of development opportunities for the region. What do you think about our affiliation with those organizations, and how could we be a part of that and ensure that Choctaw County actually gets some of the, I guess you could say, the gravy from those organizations? Because it seems like to the public that our affiliation and money that we put in that goes to benefit other areas and really never benefits Choctaw.
Excuse me. We tried Coastal Gateway. When I first took office, nothing against Coastal Gateway. they may be a huge benefit to Monroe County, but I didn't see the benefit for us. The town was paying. Later, Judge Armstead started paying it, and I gave him my opinion of this, because at the time, we were still in our infancy of, like I said, workforce development and everything else. There should have been, his first term in office, a 5-year plan at least for economic development. To my knowledge, there is no plan. Like I said, you look at the county's industrial park, sewer is not even run out there. And we had a meeting in 2016, there was a grant available for sewer. And I told everyone, I said, I've got engineers coming in, I've got these people that can write grants and whatever. Because I'm on the utility board, we'll look at running sewer all the way out there to help that park if you want to work with us. The only person that showed up for that meeting in the county was Sheriff Scott Lawley. He was the only one that showed up. Now, you know, the Lord helps those who help themselves, and if they don't want to help me, help them. You know, help me, help you. Help me, you know, I'll work with you. I told them from day one, I'll work with you. But if you show no interest in improving your industrial park, I mean, all I've got to promote is mine, and I've promoted whatever silos, you know, what they've got, and I've talked about Pennington, but the county needs to get something going on out there.
In regard to that, you're talking about bringing more industries in here for obvious reasons, for economic development purposes, to keep the population from exiting to go find work. But are there specific industries in particular that you think we really have a strong opportunity to bring here, and what would the types of industries be that you would target when you're talking about that kind of?
Well, and I didn't fully answer your question before. What we did also to promote our parks, we used a group called the Next Move Group. And our industrial development board paid him what I consider a small fee to market our park, any other park that came up in the county. So he got someone in front of us, and it was the plastics industry. And unfortunately, he wanted a lot more than we could give. And he was in Clark County, Alabama, and Thomasville is very proactive. You got Jackson that's, you know, trying to be proactive like Thomasville. And so we're not just competing with neighboring counties, we're competing with other states, you know, in other countries. And anyway, basically the guy wanted about $1.5 million open checkbook to do renovations up there at the Sanderson facility and lots of other things. And I had to explain to him that it was going to take me a little while to write grants and get everything, the ball rolling. You know, I'm here for you. He was impatient. He did not want to wait on the grant process. Now we have I've met the Delta Regional Authority guy and Alabama Tom Duty Regional Commission guys. There's help there if we create at least 15 jobs. And the way we're marketing that facility is, if you bring jobs here, the building's lease free. All you got to pay is utilities. I mean, that's a great deal. I mean, now the building needs some love. I grant you that. But the pieces are in place. We just need a little extra help. And like I said, if the county would come in and say, and participate and work with us, but to me they haven't. I mean, and I've got scenarios I can explain, but we'll just keep going with this, and we'll talk about it as we go along.
Let's talk about industries that are already here in this county. In particular, when you talk about industries here, you have to talk about Georgia Pacific. And recently we saw a lot of news regarding the abatement process, the expansion projects that are going on out there, and the time it took to decide whether or not to grant those abatements. One of the readers' questions was this. The county commission took time to decide whether or not to grant the abatements. If Georgia Pacific does ask for additional abatements for new projects in the future, do you think the process would go more quickly the next time, and how could we bring about that in a way that benefits the county and that industry?
That process should have taken 6 months, and it took 18 months. And I sat down in other meetings with Georgia Pacific. I was not involved in the abatements per se, so I did not stick my nose somewhere where it didn't belong. I got involved in this process because since I took office, I've been trying to widen the intersection of Highway 17 and 10 and work to make that intersection more friendly for trucking for our citizens in the county and everyone else. So I wanted to make sure the DOT was aware of the expansion projects that they were proposing. So we had a meeting at the old city hall. The DOT was there, and the two representatives from Georgia Pacific were there. Afterward, during that meeting, they said, I think you need to go to Montgomery and tell them what you're planning on doing. There's other stuff that the state would be willing to possibly help you with if you can make this happen. I went to that meeting with the GP reps were there. There was ADECA was there, Delta Regional Authority was there, all the state, federal agencies, all the players were there. What was actually on the table at the time, what no one's really talking about, is there was $500 million, as in $500 million in projects that they were wanting to do right then. There was another potential $500 million in projects. So $1 billion total. Yes, I would have given them the abatements, but I would have negotiated for the other $500 million. I mean, that paper mill is our livelihood here. It's the only game in town right now. Now, if there were other companies standing in line to get into the county's industrial park or any of our industrial parks, you could play hardball with them, but we're not in that position. I mean, that was their idea to expand that mill and extend the longevity of that mill. So we should have been working with Georgia Pacific and treating them with respect and saying, what do you need to do for us to help you? And we didn't do that. That's not what we did. So now, will we ever get the other $500 million in projects? Right now, I don't think we can. But I know that coming out of the private sector and all the deals that I've negotiated as the mayor and the superintendent of the utility board, and as being on the industrial development board, I think I can go heal whatever wounds were created. I'm not saying I'm the second coming by any means, but I understand it. I understand the private sector because I came out of that sector. Like I said, I think my experience far exceeds his. And any part of a negotiation is compromise. And there was no compromise. And when we're trying to mandate them to use our landfill as part of that negotiation, that's not acceptable. I mean, they have a minimal amount of waste out there. All these companies through the years have entered into waste reduction programs. They generate very little waste. They should have never even been on the table. But like I said, there was other things that got involved, and something that took 18 months should have took 6 months.
Along those same lines, regarding the GP abatement, if there are other industries who come here and would like to approach the county about some incentives, abatements incentives, something along those lines, how can the county, should there be a line drawn over which we would not cross when it comes to granting an incentive, tax or otherwise, whatever kind of incentive they might request? Should there be a line drawn that we would not cross when it comes to allowing an industry to come here?
I think if whatever you gave one industry, you have to give the other. In other words, you can't be unbiased. If you gave company X this amount of abatements, you have to give that to company Y. Unless they come in here and they say, hey, this plant is going to create 2,000 jobs versus a plant that we have out there right now that's 800 jobs, not including contractors, I think they would understand because it may be beneficial to them too. And that's corporate America. They understand. What they don't understand is they're treated badly, and they, like I said, these deals are done in 6 months in another county. It took 18 months to get it done here.
Along the lines of, we were talking about the area out there where the industrial park is. There's been some talk about an agri-center that looks to me like it appears like that might be something that comes to pass out on that site where the rodeos held. Do you believe that this is a possibility, and what benefits would that bring to the county if we could develop something like that on that site out there?
Well, it's in the hands of a private property owner now. We've been talking about rodeos since I'm not on the chamber board anymore, but we talked about this, I guess, in 2014, we started talking about rodeos and things of that nature. I mean, if they can develop it into something with the private property owner that has an agri center like they do in Meridian, I mean, whatever gets traffic into the community and it gets people to stop at the business is good for our municipalities. I mean, it's good for the businesses, I'm sorry, but that means it's good for the municipalities. So that's the whole end game. We have to do something to make sure that we sustain our businesses stay here. The lottery in Mississippi scares me. That scares me. I think we're going to have more people driving over to Mississippi to buy lottery tickets, and while they're there, they're going to shop and do whatever they're going to buy, fuel and whatever else they need to do. And that's their freedom of choice as an American. But my fear is that if any of these businesses start closing, they're not coming back. And what people have to realize is those sales taxes that come off of these businesses here, these business owners who have risked their livelihood, by the way, they are a huge part of our economy, you know, with us providing police protection, fire protection, and everything else that we provide in the municipalities. If that goes away, and the county has to inherit those expenditures, and there's no revenue increases, what are they going to do? And I'm going to tell you where it's going to go in the future years. They're going to have to go back to the property owners to increase ad valorem taxes. That's just a fact. That's not fiction. That is a fact.
Along those same lines, there is a question from the readers, not necessarily tied to economic development, but since we brought up the issue of a proposed ad valorem tax increase for some time in the future, would there be a scenario, and this is a question from a reader, would there be a scenario where you would believe that it was appropriate to ask the people to agree to a tax increase of some sort? And if so, what would you think would be the appropriate purpose to add, if it came down to asking for a tax increase? What would be something that you believe would be a
Be appropriate? I think one would be to paving the roads. The other would be, I would love to know what the schools think they actually need to get by. I know we've got the lowest ad valorem tax in the state of Alabama, and I know we've got the declining population and other factors are causing decrease in our schools, the population of our schools. But, you know, I always say communication is our cheapest tool. I would like to sit down with them and say, hey, what actually do you need? Tell us what you need. I mean, I don't know that question's ever been asked of them. The other thing is, like I said, the roads, but that's one of those cases where if you've got a good engineer, I don't like to micromanage. The engineer should be the one who is grading the roads, so to speak, as in rating them. To say, okay, these are the worst roads in our county. These are the ones that need addressed first. We did the same thing in the town of Butler. Director of Public Works, Lindy Long, went out. He looked at all. We got 22 miles, I think, of roads in Butler. He looked at them. He graded them as far as what he thought was the worst roads, because we only get about $74,000 a year in fuel taxes for paving, and that's not even enough to pave 1 mile of road. So
that's for the town of Butler.
That's for the town of Butler. So that's not much. That's less than 1 mile of road a year. So, and Mayor Smith left us in really good shape, and we've got funds built up in case we have to do anything, because your 3 and 4 cent taxes are solely for paving. Your 7 cent taxes are a little bit more flexible.
Talk about the gasoline tax.
Gasoline taxes, yes. So I think if the people, I would let it go to a ballot. And if the people said, hey, we are for this, and then let the engineer determine what needs to be done. Engineer Jason Sturman, I think, did a great job writing grants, looking at things. He and I had some conversations when he was doing a survey work for me. He was at Rogers Park. I like Jason. I think he was a sharp guy. I'm not nothing against the current engineer. I don't know him. But I hate to see Jason go. I want to say that. I think Jason had visions of what he wanted to do. And I hated that Jason left, because I think he was on the right track.